X-Files during like the height of its popularity. Do you have any favorite behind-the-scenes moments that you can share with us?
Well, definitely one of the moments that sticks out was working on the first episode I did, the end, just working or being in the scene in the middle of Rogers Arena there playing chess because I'm a big Canucks fan as well, so it was cool kind of being down where the ice is. But yeah, it was pretty cool just to be surrounded by all these people, and that was one of the first scenes that I ever did. So, so pretty big, pretty big moment.
In the paper, they put something out like, hey, if you're a fan of the show, come on in. Was that something like that? Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, I think the arena must have probably been relatively new. It was like GM Place back then, and it was just like a big thing. Anybody who wanted to sit in the crowd and be an extra could come, and then that's how they filled up all the seats in there. But I think it was really only about a quarter full, and then they'd get everybody to switch over when the camera would change.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Open casting call for extras for any fans.
What I know you went to X Fest a couple years ago, and
yeah, I think that was thanks to you because I think you mentioned it on the last thing, and then I just followed them on Twitter, and then they contacted me like within the day.
Do you have a favorite like fan experience, either from that or another time, over the last however many years? Do you have a favorite fan experience?
Well, definitely that was my only convention I've been to, so basically almost all my fan experiences were there. But it was just really cool to see just all the friendships and stuff that people have made. Like they come up and say hi, and then they're like a couple people like, "Oh, how'd you meet?" I'm from Germany. I'm from England, and like, "Oh, we met at a convention like this." I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's really cool." And then there was like this young woman came up and said that, or she didn't have anything for me to sign. She just wanted to say thank you. The show helped her get through a lot of tough times, and I was just like, wow. Like you could see, like she was kind of getting emotional. I was just like, holy smokes, it's crazy to be part of something that can affect people in such a positive way. And yeah, it's just really cool to hear all the people's experiences with the show and just to meet them.
That's really how this project started, was hearing those stories.
Mm-hmm.
How the show affected people. I mean, how it affected us, how it affected them, and that's really cool. I like that. They treated you well in Chicago?
Oh, absolutely. It was awesome. Yeah, we went to a little after party hosted by Frank Spotnitz.
Oh, nice.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, and just catching up with all the old actors. It was just really weird because I hadn't seen them so long. But then once you start talking, it was just kind of like old times.
Because you were a kid, really, when you were shooting.
Yeah.
So how is it trippy to see them as an adult? Like you hung out with them, you were a little kid, and not little kid, but you were a kid, and then now you're an adult and you're drinking with them and having
hanging out at the bar, drinking with Mitch and Chris.
It's a trip, right?
It was, yeah, and it was pretty funny because when I first saw Chris Owens, he kind of like looked at me, and he's like, hey. He's like, oh my God, you're not supposed to be a man.
You were like 12, right?
The first episode I was 12, yeah.
Jeez.
That's funny.
I don't think Annabeth Gish recognized me when we were in the green room in between things, and it was lunchtime, and I was really hungry, and so she was just like, oh, hey, we haven't met yet, and I was like, oh, actually, I'm Jeff, I played Gibson, and she's like, oh, and then I just was like, yeah, and I was kind of also nervous because it's Annabeth Gish, and then I just kind of was like, yeah, and then I just like walked away, and then I was like, oh, I don't know if she thinks I'm an asshole or something. Like, oh, you don't remember me? And I just went straight to the food because I was starving.
I think it's the same, Jeff. I mean, that's what's so funny is you look exactly the same. I don't know how anybody would recognize you.
That's funny.
You do.
Just a little more hair down here.
A little more hair. That you didn't have back then.
Yeah, Annabeth seems pretty chill, though. I'm sure it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
She was very cool. She was very cool when we spoke to her.
Jeff, what do you think it is about the X-Files that keeps it so relevant today for new generations and people who grew up with it? People just go back and revisit the show. What do you think about the show? Why do you think it's special?
I think a lot of the stories and stuff are sort of universal, and it's just like kind of mysteries that are timeless and like little conspiracies and stuff that can happen in any decade. So when you watch a show, it's still interesting with the supernatural elements and stuff. So it doesn't really get lost as much to the age, or it doesn't get as dated as a lot of shows, I think.
Did you get to do any like stunts when you were working on the show? I'm trying to think back. Maybe when you
no stunts. I did have a fake broken leg that took a lot of prosthetics and makeup, but
right when you ran through the desert. Yeah.
Yeah, Mitch had to carry me for a while in a sweltering desert heat.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty hot in that shoot.
Yes, I think it was getting up to almost 40 degrees Celsius.
If you could say something to the fans over the last 27 plus years, what would it be?
Just thank you for everything. Thanks for being inspired by the show and loving it as much as you do. And yeah, it's just crazy. Like, yeah, going to X-Files, just seeing all the love and like people going multiple times to these conventions. It's really cool. And it's like a really nice community. Everybody's super chill. And like, I was like hanging out with some of the people, having drinks like beforehand and to some of the fans, and everybody's nice and yeah, everybody's great. Thank you. No, honestly, I don't really remember much about the earlier episodes. The one thing that was cool, I remember I had to, because I think it was Within and Without, I was acting with the deaf girl, and some of the scenes were actually filmed like with a whole bunch of deaf students. So they got me a sign language teacher, so I could communicate with them and talk with them, even though most of them read lips and stuff.
Right.
But just so I could have that kind of communication. So I actually got to spend half of a school day at a deaf high school out in California, which was pretty cool, and learned the alphabet and sign language and everything. So that was actually a really neat experience.
That's really cool. So you were in high school at that point, right? When you did that?
Yeah, I was like 15 or 16 then. Yeah.
Oh wow, cool.
I have a weird question for you. This is such a fan question. Okay, in the last episode, when your character came in and you spoke on behalf of Mulder, what do you think happened to Gibson after that? Because we didn't see Gibson in the reboot. So what happened to Gibson? I was thinking about that the other day.
Are you aware? I'm sure you're aware of the storylines in the comics.
No, I'm not. I don't follow the comics.
Oh, well, may I talk about the storyline in the comics?
Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
Well, I kind of like how the story or the comic story went, where Gibson ended up becoming basically a bad guy and created his own like syndicate. And I could see that getting just pissed off after being handled or thrown around by the government so many times. I keep getting kidnapped and just get fed up with it. I know what everybody's thinking, so I got everybody's dirty laundry. Probably do a lot of damage. So I like the idea of becoming like a bad guy.
All right.
So if it ever comes back, I mean, I could be a bad guy. I'll chase William around or something.
There you go. Yeah, that would be fun.
Jeff, did you watch the reboot?
I did.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I liked it. It was interesting to see because it's a newer take. So some of the standalone episodes, like the sushi bar one and stuff, were really interesting.
It's weird, right? Seeing them like with the cell phones and everything. When cell phones
exactly,
back then were like the Zach Morris cell phones that they used to have.
Yeah, the big antenna.
Oh my god.